Welcome back. You're watching Better for America. We are live at CPAC, and I am thrilled to be joined right now by the wonderful and lovely Karoline Leavitt. You are
Thank you.
President Donald J. Trump's national spokesperson, a press secretary,
Yes.
forgive me, national press secretary, which is
Yes.
just so wonderful. So,
Thank you.
Caroline, tell me a little bit about how that all unfolded
Oh,
and came about.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, you and I last spoke when I was running for Congress in New
Yes.
Hampshire in 2022. And while we had a big primary victory, unfortunately, it didn't work out in the general election. But God had another plan, and I joined President Trump's super PAC, Make America Great Again Inc. I was the spokeswoman there for quite some time. And then in the week of the New Hampshire primary, so serendipitously in my own home state, I was pulled over to be the press secretary for the campaign. So we've been working hard around the clock ever since to have big victories for President Trump, which we have in Iowa and New Hampshire, Nevada, and now we're very excited about another big win tomorrow night in South Carolina. So it's just been such a thrill and a joy to work for the best president in my lifetime, most, in my humble opinion, in history, and speak on behalf of his campaign and to push our message, which is to make this country great again.
Fabulous. Now, you really do understand sort of that intersection between politics and media. We know that mainstream media, has done a terrible job keeping Americans informed. They really
Yeah.
should be ashamed of themselves because so much of what they told us was true was not, and the reverse. They told us a lot of mistruths. So how difficult have you found it to get that messaging out? And what are you? Well, let me ask you. Start there. Has it been tough getting that message out?
It's a battle every single day because about 95% of the media in this country are dishonest, they are left leaning, and they don't tell the truth. And we receive incoming inquiries every single day from these mainstream media reporters that already have a false premise within them, right? So even if we're giving them our the truth, we're giving them our response, we're giving them where the president stands, whether it's on a certain policy issue or something he may have said, they've already come into the conversation with their own bias, and it's just so evident. That's why the distrust of the American people have for the mainstream media is at an all-time high in this country, because we understand that they're pushing one message, and that is Donald Trump is bad, Joe Biden and the Democrats can do nothing wrong. But the American people see that that's not true because they feel the consequences of this current administration in their lives every day, whether it's our open border, whether it's the lawlessness we see in American communities across this country, whether it's the record high inflation that is robbing hardworking families of thousands of dollars every single month. None of that was the case just a few years ago under President Trump. And so I think the American people, we're smart, and we're starting to realize they're not always telling us the truth.
That's right. It seems also that more and more younger people are beginning to say, I think Donald Trump, I need to take a look at him.
Yeah.
And I'm talking people in their 20s and
Yes.
30s. Are you seeing the same?
Definitely. And as a young person myself in my late 20s, it's very exciting for me to see the enthusiasm from my generation of voters for my boss and the former president. To your point, young people are now realizing that President Trump's policies made their lives easier and better, certainly more affordable. You know, young people in America today are crippled with mountains of debt, whether it be credit card debt or student loan debt. And to afford a home is a dream that is slowly dying in this country right now because of Joe Biden's tax and spend policies, because of the hike in interest rates and mortgage rates that we've seen. Under President Trump, mortgage rates hit a record low 2.65%. Imagine that. The American dream was alive and well for all to attain, and now they're nearing 10%. I mean, I know many people, a lot of my friends that are in their late 20s, went to great colleges, have great careers as nurses, and they're working in finance. They cannot afford to purchase a home. And so President Trump promises the revival of that American dream that we all wish to live, to buy a home, to have a family. That's become unattainable in Joe Biden's America.
It sure has. And I think what's quite remarkable is the fact that Donald J. Trump, despite the fact that they have attacked him, the left has attacked him in ways that I think most Americans would not be able to withstand, that kind of personal attack against his family, his business, Forget about, I mean, they've been going after his character for a long
Yeah.
time now, but now they're really trying to take him out in any way possible, yet he continues to gain momentum and gain support. Can you explain that phenomenon and why that's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. It really is something to behold, and it's such an honor to witness it firsthand. President Trump is tenacious. He's such a fighter, and every time they punch at him, he just wants to punch back 10 times harder, and he does. And I think it's that inspiration that he has within himself that inspires millions of Americans across this country to have faith that the truth will prevail, to fight hard through another day. And while it's so horrible to think what's happened to our country over the past few years, and you mentioned the political lawfare that we're seeing against the former president right now, we have the abuse of our court system, our own legal system, attempting to drain him of his resources ahead of this election, states unilaterally deciding that his name can't appear on ballots. I mean, these are un-American tactics. These are tactics that we see in communist regimes. And so, again, I think that's why you see the vast majority of Americans are dissatisfied with Joe Biden's presidency. They're overwhelmingly supporting President Trump. And that's Americans of all demographics. You mentioned young people, but we also see women, Hispanic Americans, African Americans, moving towards President Trump in a way that we never have. It's earth-shattering for the Democrat Party, and I think it's going to lead to a big victory in November.
Well, that's something that a lot of our members are hoping for. And, election integrity is certainly on their mind. They're concerned, will our elections be free and fair enough so that if there are any types of voting irregularities, that there will be enough people turning out and enough legal votes counted for a conservative president. How confident are you?
We are confident that if every American who wants a change gets out there and casts their ballot and makes their vote heard, we hear from voters every day who have never voted in their lives, but are saying they are going to cast a ballot this November for President Trump to turn this country around, whether they're fed up because of the border, they're fed up because of the crime in their inner city, they're fed up because of the mortgage rates and they can't afford to purchase a home. Whatever the reason is, more and more Americans are saying, okay, we need a change, and we cannot even fathom having 4 more years with the current guy that we have in office with Joe Biden. And so we are working every day, one, to ensure election integrity efforts remain across this country. There was some positive improvement that happened after 2020 with the widespread irregularities that we did indeed see. The mainstream media doesn't want to admit that, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
And we saw that in many states, especially key battleground states. So our campaign will work hand in hand with the RNC to ensure that election integrity efforts are occurring on the ground. We're also working on educating voters about the election laws within their respective states. Now, President Trump says it all the time. We wish that we had 1 day of voting, no mail-in ballots, paper ballots, and mandated voter ID. Unfortunately, that's not the reality in America right now, so we need to play by the rules of the game that we have. And if that means you live in a state where early voting is allowed, we encourage you to get out and vote early, because you don't know what could happen on election day. You could have a car wreck. You could have a family emergency. There could be a major storm. So we want voters to get out there, cast your ballot early. And if you live in South Carolina, you can do that right now. Early voting's underway ahead of tomorrow night's primary.
Fantastic. Any ideas? He did give out a short list, Donald J. Trump, on who he might pick as his running mate. Do you have a favorite yourself?
This is the question of the day, and I will reserve my commentary on that for the president himself. I will say this, and he said this publicly, his number one need or requirement rather in a vice president is someone who can make a great president after his term is over. And so that's the number one thing he's thinking about. We have so many great candidates on the table for that position, and it's up to the president to make the decision. I am very confident it will be a great one on behalf of the American people.
Well, thank you so much, and best of luck in all that you're doing. And thank you for being an incredible voice for conservatives across the country.
Thank you.
Karoline Leavitt, love having you here and look forward to having you join us again.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, folks, we'll be right back in a few short moments.